good news is that actually creating your funnels, creating your ecosystems, it doesn't have to take that long. If you know the right way to do it and the right way to structure it, you can actually do it alongside any live promotions that you've got coming up. So it's not an and, it's an as well. It's a working smarter, not harder situation. Hey, lovely. It is Kate here, and welcome back to the Doing It Online podcast. Now, today I am going to make a couple of assumptions. Number one is if you are listening to a podcast about funnels, that you are either a little bit curious or you have a deep down burning desire to actually have some kind of regular, reliable, and more passive income happening in your business. Would that be a pretty correct assumption? The next thing that I'm going to assume is that you haven't been able to crack it yet. That either you have given it a try and perhaps it has come in and not really worked how you were hoping, or more likely you have thought about trying it, but it's all just seemed really overwhelming. You're far too busy and it's gone to the bottom of the one day maybe pile. Am I getting close? If you said yes, or kind of to both of those, then this episode is definitely for you. So let's dive right on in. Okay guys, so inside this episode, what I want to do is rather than walking you through the tactics, the step-by-steps, which we've done in all of the previous episodes, instead, I want to help to show you some real life examples of people just like you who've been able to successfully set up, automate, and scale their own online sales and marketing ecosystems. And I think from listening to these stories, you're going to start to realize just how possible it is for you as well. And also start to recognize maybe some of the stories you've been telling yourself that actually are just flat out lies and that you shouldn't let stop you from actually going out and getting that thing that you want, which is the passive income, the regular income, the reliable income, the business that actually feels like a business and not just a really, really stressful hobby. So I want to kick it off with one of our amazing clients, Summer. Now, Summer came to us and she actually thought she was not ready for our eCourse Empire program. She actually enrolled in one of our beginner programs and it was pretty quickly, I went, hang on a second, no. Empire is for you. You have an online program that you've sold before. Yes, you don't have a huge list, but you definitely have the pieces in place that you need to be able to start to automate. Just asking questions all about like automating and those, scaling and stuff like that. So she came and jumped up into eCourse Empire. Now, Summer, when we started working together, she had a small but engaged following on Instagram, not much of an email list at all, and a handful of low ticket offers. And she had the goal of hitting 10K months because that meant that she could actually shut down her other business. She's a multi-passionate serial entrepreneur and actually just focus all on this business because that's what she was really loving. That was what's better suited her lifestyle as well. So that was goal number one. And that was about 3 or 4 months ago that she came and started working with us. Now, first things first is, we made sure that all her offers were funnel friendly. We gave her some advice around increasing profit, increasing average order value with some simple upsells and cross sells and things like that, which she was able to implement using the tech she already had. Then we got her to use our 7-day payday template to update it and automate it. And that was pretty much all she had to do. And then she just went back to doing what she was already doing on her Instagram. Now, she quickly started to notice that doing that plus the addition of adding in our Insta ATM strategy. So she was actually starting to have calls to action and starting to put them through the first part of her automation, which is all done inside of Instagram. She started to notice that people were joining her list. And those people that were joining her list were buying her programs. And those people who were buying her programs were buying her upsells. And quite quickly, that goal of 10K months looked like it was going to get very, very doable. And then once she'd had that sort of feeling of like safety of like, okay, I've seen this work for a little while, just doing what I'm doing organically, she started to also add some ads budget. So she started to take some of her best performing organic reels and turn them into ads. And what that did was allowed her to do everything she was already doing, but faster and at a higher level. So it went from being 1 or 2 people joining her list a day to being up to 100 people joining her list a day. And now, I think it's 3 to 4 months since we started, She has hit that 10K a month mark and since far surpassed it. And she's growing every single month. And she's only spending about $50, $60 a day on ads. So that's how quickly things can all sort of turn around, how quickly you can grow and how simply it can be done as well. And she's only partway into building out the ecosystem. There's other pieces to sort of add here, which are going to help her and make sure that she doesn't hit one of those ceilings that you hear about where people start to scale their ads and then all of a sudden it stops being a profitable enterprise. So that's example number one. Low ticket offer, small audience, wasn't running any ads, and just by getting those right couple of strategies in place in the right order made such a massive difference. So if you've been saying to yourself, I don't have a list or I don't have an expensive enough product to create a funnel, hopefully that has proved that you don't need either. The next amazing case study that I want to share with you is actually one of our very first clients to go through the program. Now, the program has since been updated multiple times, but the core of what was created and the core of what they set up is still the same. So they came in, they were a naturopath, they were, great at what they did. They had a successful in-person practice, but they wanted some more leverageability. They wanted to free up their time, but they didn't trust that they were going to be able to convert as well on Evergreen as they did in person. They tried a few things in the past. It hadn't really worked. So they really had this story that I have to be showing up. I have to be the one doing it. If people don't see me, don't speak to me directly, nobody's going to buy from me. And I think we all know that that's not true because a question to ask yourself, but have you ever bought anything from anyone without actually speaking to them directly? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. The majority of the stuff you buy does not require you to actually speak to someone, and that's regardless of the price point. So they had this belief. So what we did was we did baby steps where we said, okay, well, what we need to do first up is get some regular sales happening. So get and sort of like prove that the overall strategies that we were going to use were going to work. So she started with creating a webinar and running that webinar live every single week. So this is a really great strategy for people who are feeling a little bit unsure and also for people who maybe haven't nailed their webinar or their sales conversion process yet. And they want to be able to, in real time, as quickly as possible, test, try things out, maybe tweak their offers, tweak their content, and be able to pretty quickly get a really great high converting webinar or, whatever your mechanism is going to be. So I started doing these weekly. And it became, pretty apparent after a couple of tweaks that these worked really, really well, that the people were showing up, they were loving the content, and they were buying at a really high level, which was great. And at a level which I was really happy with because I was like, that means you are, this is going to work on Evergreen. Because I'm a big believer of you test everything live. There's certain benchmarks that you need to hit. And if it hits it live, we know that when it goes to Evergreen, where you can expect it to be a little bit softer, but we're happy with that because we're not doing it ourselves manually, that it will still be really successful, still work really well. And that's what she had. But she still had this resistance, just like, no, I just think, well, it's only working because I'm showing up and doing them live, but I'm getting tired of doing them every week. And also I'm getting really sick of doing the same presentation every week. And I feel like they're actually getting less good because my energy's not there, because I'm sort of a bit like over it. So we're like, okay, well, what if we tried a hybrid version? What if you still had it seeming live, and it still was partially live? It was on a set date. She was there to welcome everybody in, say hello, ask people to do all that like warming up the crowd stuff. And then it would switch over to the training portion and the pitch, which were all pre-recorded. So she wasn't having to do that again and again and again and again and sort of lose that good energy that she had there. And then at the end, she came back on live to answer their questions. So there was anyone who had questions that weren't answered in the recorded portion could get their questions answered before they joined. So like, okay, great step 2. So did this. Again, she's a little hesitant. She's like, oh, well, if it doesn't work as well, like, well, we'll just do it for 1 or 2 weeks and then you can go back to the other one if it doesn't, right? Like there's literally no risk. We tried it out and guess what? It converted just as well. So, okay, phew, we're a step closer. Now, give that another couple of weeks. Maybe it was like a month and a half. And she came to me again. She goes, do you know what? I am sick of sitting here and listening to that same presentation every day. I'm going to go crazy if I have to keep listening to myself say the same thing over and over. I might be ready to try Evergreen. But she still wasn't, still very, very distrustful of the whole process. She's been burned so many times before, had such a deep story that it just wouldn't work and couldn't work, and it was too good to be true. And so, we're like, okay, again, baby steps. What if we do a split test? 50-50. Half of your traffic goes to exactly what you're doing right now, and the other half goes to a completely automated version. Let's see what happens. So we did that, and guess what? The conversion rates were almost identical. Yes, the completely automated version was slightly lower as expected, but again, when you're allowing that to actually just run in the background and you're not having to show up live and do it, you kind of cop the small loss, right? Because it's still a much better result overall. So this is another example of, someone who couldn't believe it. Like, it just didn't seem possible. And they were able to disprove that to themselves. And the best thing that I love about this story is that this particular client is still using this funnel today. Like, again, they've updated things, they've changed some of the slides, as things have changed, they've gone in and refined it. But essentially, the same mechanic, the same structure, the same strategy, 7-ish years later is still going strong and has gone from bringing in, 20 to 30 sales a week to 10 times that. And it is now a 7-figure funnel all on its own. So again, it just goes to show, like, can you imagine if she had given up at the start and gone, I don't believe in funnels, I'm just not going to try this. She would have a completely different business today. And I would be so sad that she had missed out on this amazing opportunity for herself. So next little story that a lot of people I know are probably telling themselves right now is that I just don't have the time. I do not have the time to do this. I'm so busy. I'm just launching. My launches aren't going as well as they were, but I just need to get like this one launch that happens and it works well, and then I'll get around to it, right? And again, if we're honest with ourselves, if this is a story you've been telling yourself, how long have you been telling yourself that story? And the other thing I kind of want to sort of like pull apart here about that story is that the funnel itself, like setting up this system, once you've done it, it will give you back so much more time. So it is a little bit of a chicken egg. I know kind of feels like that, like going, well, I need the time to set up the funnel, but I need the funnel to give me the time to set up the funnel, right? The good news is that actually creating your funnels, creating your ecosystems, it doesn't have to take that long. If you know the right way to do it and the right way to structure it, you can actually do it alongside any live promotions that you've got coming up. So it's not an and, it's an as well. It's a working smarter, not harder situation. And we actually had, another great client example is one of our amazing clients, Heidi, who came to us in the middle of a launch that wasn't going very well. And she had been trying for years to get webinars to work for her. She had the type of program that was perfect for a webinar. She'd spent thousands of dollars on expensive coaches who had helped even write webinars for her. And she basically come to the point, she was like, you know what, webinars just don't work for me. I'm no good at them. My audience doesn't like them. She had 1,000 different reasons why they weren't right. She joined our program in the middle of her launch when she had a webinar coming up in about a week's time. And as part of our program, we have a webinar template and scripts and all that stuff that people use. So she grabbed that, she took it, she updated it, she used that webinar for her live launch. And you know what? It converted better than anything she's ever done before. So not only did her launch work better, but then coming out the other side of it, because she'd structured it the way that we sort of designed it, she was actually now able to take that with a couple of small tweaks and pop it into her Evergreen. And 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after her launch, she had the first piece of her ecosystem up and running and making her just as many sales as she'd made in her big, crazy, stressful launch now every month, but totally on autopilot. And it was like 2-ish weeks. She is a record holder. She's absolutely one of those people who's able to get in, get it done. But that just shows you how quickly this can be done and how it doesn't have to be an and. It doesn't have to be an extra thing on your list. It just has to be a slight reshuffling and a slight sort of reprioritization, but it's work you're already going to do. So why not make it work harder for you, right? Okay, final BS that I want to bust is that funnels don't work anymore, that webinars or email funnels or whatever it is. Like, we have different strategies we use for different people's types of offers and different businesses. Like, we help people to kind of figure out the best one for them. But I've heard it for all of them. X doesn't work anymore because, you're seeing it, particularly in live launches, that things are performing softer across the board. So like, well, obviously funnels must be just as bad or worse. Answer is no, that's actually not the case. I've received this year more messages than ever from ex-clients who are saying that the funnel that they built with us, the ecosystem they created with us 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, as I said, 7 years ago, is still going strong. They're still using it. And it is the backbone and the foundation of the majority of their sales and revenue right now. So we've got lovely Amanda, who is a coach to artists, and she created a funnel which now does between 30 to 40,000 pounds a month and has done so consistently for almost 3 years. The lovely Kylie, who went from doing $70,000 ever with one of her programs to now doing $70,000 a month, totally on autopilot every month, again, reliably and consistently. And that's been doing that for well over 12 months. And that's right now. Like, that's, not years ago. This is like current data. We've got the wonderful Diana, who, when she first started working with us, she had a 197 program, so under $200, what some people would consider a low ticket program. And her goal was to get to 10K months. That same funnel that she set up, now roughly 2.5 years later, is doing 7 figures. So this is why I am so passionate about this, guys. This is why I actually named right now, like, this is the year of Evergreen, and there has never been a better time. If you are finding that, launches and things are just not going as planned, as well as you hoped, it is time to shift gears and time to get strategic and deliberate and time to build out a rock solid foundation of sales and marketing for your business that's going to run like an engine in the background, and it's going to support you, and it's going to give you back some stability. It's going to take away so much stress, and it's going to help you to finally be able to start to grow again. Because I truly believe that without one right now, it's going to be really, really hard, if not impossible. And if you would like to, if you're like, right, Kate, you've convinced me, I'm in. What do I do? We are actually running a free live masterclass where I'm going to walk you through all of it. So it's running live at 4 p.m. on October 23rd Pacific time, which is 10 a.m. October 24th Australian Eastern time. And all you need to do to save your ticket totally for free is go to hellofunnels.co/everyday and save your seat. I can't wait to deep dive in on all of this, to visually be able to show you how to map this out and to give you the blueprint to walk away with that you can go and deploy so you can start to set this up in your own business. Plus, because it's live, we're going to have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So come with all of your biggest questions. I can't wait to see you then. Bye.